This video will explain how to simplify a fraction. So let's take an example as 14/28. Simplifying a fraction means to divide out the common factors. So some people can look at 14 and 28 and know that 7 divides into both of these numbers. And then we would get 2 over 4. And then 2 goes into both of these. And we would get 1/2. Now, that may not be easy for all of us. So some of us might have to do it this way. You're going to take the 14 right here, and you're going to make a factor tree. So think of two numbers that multiply to 14, other than 1 times 14. And then you're going to keep doing this until they're prime. So both of these numbers here are prime. So now I'm going to do the 28. So we're going to think of two numbers that multiply to 28, any two numbers at all, so like 4 times 7, and then 4 is the same thing as 2 times 2, and now we only have remaining prime numbers. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this 14/28 and now instead write the 14 as 2 times 7, and we're going to write the 28 as 2 times 2 times 7. And then what we do is whatever is in the numerator we can cross out with the denominator. And as you can see that there's only a 2 left. And there's nothing left in the numerator, so we have to put a 1 if everything's gone. Because these all divided out and made 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 7 divided by 7 is 1. So when these cancel, they make a 1, so we're going to put 1/2. So this fraction here simplifies to 1/2. So to better see that if you're a visual learner, I took this circle here and I cut it up into 28 pieces here. And then the 14 tells us we're going to have 14 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's what 14/28 looks like. It looks like this. All of those. 14 of them. Now, our answer was 1/2. So that says that we're going to cut the whole thing into 2 pieces, because this is a 2. And then we're going to shade one of them. So as you can see that they are the same. That's what simplifying fractions mean. 14/28 is the same thing, as you could see at the pictures, that this is the same amount of shading as this. They are the same. So if we take a look at this example, we have to think of what can we divide into both of these. So if you look here, these are both even. So we could divide by 2. You could also divide by 6 if you'd like. So if we cut them in half, then we would have this. And then we know that 3 can go into both of these. And we would get 5/4. And we are allowed to keep it as 5/4 unless we're asked to convert it to a mixed number, then we would write 1 1/4. But let's just focus on this for a second. So that's how some of us might have to do it, whereas others, again, are going to make the factor tree if that helps you. And then you're going to multiply it out until it can't multiply anymore and we only have prime numbers left. Okay, then after we do that, then we're going to take the 30/24 and instead of 30, I'm going to write it as 2 times 3 times 5. And I always write it from least to greatest. And then here, I'm going to write it as 2 times this 2 times this 2 times this 3. And then whatever is here, I can cross out with the denominator. And as you can see, we have the 5 left. That's this 5 right here. And then we have 2 2's left. That makes 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Alright, here we have 18/27ths. So one way is we can divide out whatever common factor it has, like 9, and we would get 2/3. So 2/3 is the same amount as 18/27ths. So again, another way to do it would be to make the factor trees. And 27, the factor tree. And then we're going to take 18 and write it as 2 times 3 times 3. And then we're going to take 27 and write it as 3 times 3 times 3. And then we can cross out this 3 with this 3 and this 3 with this 3. And as you can see, we're left with 2/3. Okay, this time we're asked to simplify a mixed number. So we're going to ignore this 3 right here. We're going to ignore it, and we're going to ask ourselves, what can divide into 8 and 10? So I know that they're even, so I could divide by 2. So I would have 3 and 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I would get 3 and 4/5. Now again, the other way to figure it out is to make our factor trees. And then we would have 2 times 2 times 2 here. That's where we would get these from. And then we'd have 2 times 5 here. And then this 2 can cross out with this 2, and we're left with 2 times 2, which is 4. And then we'd have the 5. Okay, so if we have a fraction where it has zeros at the end, then there is a trick that we can do. For every 0 at the far right of a number, we can cancel it out with the 0 at this end. And the reason why that works is because 800 divided by 10 is 80. So it gets rid of that. So now, because this has a 0, and this one does, we can cancel that out. And that's like taking 80 and dividing out another 10 to get just the 8. So that trick will always work. So if there's 2 zeros up here, we can cross out 2 zeros there. And then we're left with just the 8 and the 10 to simplify. And we know that 2 goes into 8 and 10. So we would get 4/5. So let's say we had this example here. It has zeros at the end. So I can cross this 0 out with this 0. And now I'm left with 200 over 4. And since they're both even, I can divide both of them by 2. And then they're even again, so I could divide both of these by 2. And we get 50 over 1, which 50 divided by 1 is just 50. So we get our answer as 50. Instead of 50 over 1, whenever you have a 1 in the denominator, we don't need it. So it's just 50.